Hello everyone, am I audible? Okay guys, am I audible to you all? Can you confirm? Okay, kindly start spider. Am I audible guys? Okay, thank you Rajat. So there was some issue with my system, so I took time to restart it. Okay, have you guys tried the exercise that I gave you yesterday? If you did, can you tell me what you did? I'm opening that particular folder. Okay, my spider is still launching. So yeah, did you try the exercise, guys? Okay, my system is a bit slow today. I have to check it. But, can you paste the exercise that I gave you so that I can tell you how to do it? So, okay, I think I remember that. So, what I asked from you is you have to create a file, right? And you have to write text in that file, and that too in different lines. Okay. After you have written the text in different lines, what you need to do is you need to print summation of that. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Bad. You know, so, yeah. So this was the exercise. So did you try this exercise? Okay, either you guys have tried or you guys have not tried it. Because since I'm not getting any responses, so I'm assuming that you guys have not tried it. Okay. Okay then. Let's see. So what we wanted to do is, in order to create a file, I'll take F2 as the file object. Right? And since we want to write something into it, uh, we'll name it as sum.txt, right? This has to be in write mode. Okay. So you have created a file or file object which is opening a text file in a write mode. And what you need to do is F2 dot write. What do you need to write? So 11. After that, I have accession 12 backslash n, 14 backslash n, 15 backslash n, say something. Right? Okay, after that, I'm simply going to f2 dot close this file. Okay, and I'm going to do fc equals to open sum dot tsc. So I'm opening it in a read mode, read only mode, and I simply want to see what comes out of this file. Right, I'll do fc dot see. I just want to read everything from here. Right, so let me see if we are able to do it right quickly or not. So, yeah, guys, so we have got the numbers. Okay, so these are numbers that we have got. So I don't need to use this. I won't be needing this. So there are two more methods apart from read that we can use, right? And these two methods are read line and read lines. Okay, I'll have list of numbers, okay, which will be f3 dot read lines. Now this is going to give me what? A list. Okay, I'll have to open it first. Okay, so it is giving me backslash n. Now, what we need to do is we need to take out the what do you say that words from this or backslash n from this. Okay. Now, how you can take out backslash n from this? Any idea, guys? Any idea? Okay, ideally I prefer using regular expression for this. Right? Okay, I think that's the best way of taking out number from this. Right? Okay. See, Uday, your f dot read lines itself is giving you a list, right? So you don't have to pass it to a list function. Okay. Let's see. For I and um, list numbers, which have uh, see we have done this, like we have done this several times. Sum equals to 0, initial value is 0. Sum equals to sum plus I. Okay, and what we are going to do, print sum. Now, point is this going to work, guys? Yeah, tell me, is this going to work? Okay, obviously, first you have to convert it into integer. Okay, so you can see it here. So the point is here, okay, you can count it 135, 160, 170, 178, and 26, 96. Okay, so the point here is that your backslash n, when you're converting string into integer, it gets converted. Right? Okay. So the problem does not arises when you have backslash n. Problem arises when you have some other characters, right? For example, in this particular file, we have some dot. Okay, second, where is my interpreter pointing? C users with harm. So problem is not when you get backslash n. The problem arises when you get something like this. Say for example, you have a file where you have uh, 1 equals to, right? Then you have 2 equals to, right? Something like this. 3 equals to. Then converting all these things into integer or extracting integer becomes a problem, right? And at that time, we prefer using regular expression. Right? That is what we want to do. Okay, so can you see this exercise? Yes, Prashant, you have any query? Okay. Uh, this is how you are going to do it. Try it out and let me know. See, this is the part that we have done several times, so we are only reusing that particular code, right? And this is something that we know how to do, right? We simply see the reason that we have changed the lines is because your read lines gives you an output as a list only if you have different lines in it. Okay, so that's why we have it. Can you try it out? Let me know if you have any queries on this. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to perform the same exercise, right? With the help of regular expression and with the help of more complexities. Okay, that would be better. Okay, and that time we'll be using the file operations only, but with regular expression for doing the addition. Okay, any queries here, guys? Anything? Okay, did you understand this? See, it's quite easy. Uh, First, we open a file in a write-only mode, right? Then we are writing the numbers and with the backslash n because we want to change the line like this. Right? We want to change the lines. Okay. After that, we are closing that file because to complete the write operation, we have to close the file. Okay, and after that we are opening it again, but this time in a read-only mode, and then we are using a method called readLines, which gives you an output as a list. Then we are printing that list, okay, and we are able to see that this is the list that we have got. Now, this list, guys, the elements are your string, right? These are not your numbers, and it has a special character with it, which is backslash n. Right? So you can do a simple thing. You can have a equals to 22 backslash n, right? Okay, and you can do a underscore int equals to int a. And you can see what is the output you get of a underscore int, right? So here you can easily see that Python can easily, when converting string into integer, your Python is eliminating backslash n. Right? So backslash n is being treated as an enter, not anything else. Right? So you don't have to worry about backslash n actually. Okay. See, I'm simply converting it into an integer or passing it to an integer function. Right? And after that, uh, the value that I'm getting is integer without the quotes and without the backslash. Okay. Understood? Now the second part of this is something that I want you to try right now. Okay, take or ask user to enter the values, these values. I take it as an input of the user. How you want to do that, guys? Okay, see guys, I'm changing this a bit, right? I want you to try this out. Right, so you have to write the numbers with the help of write command, taking input, taking 10 inputs, 10 input values from user in different lines. Okay, so I've changed this thing. So here you have to write a code in a way that this, or when you pass an input function which takes the user's input, is only asking for the value 10 times. After it asks for the value 10 times, then you have to write those values here, all the 10 values, and then everything from here will follow. Right? So whatever you have to do uh, after you open the sum.txt file and before you close the file. Okay, so you have to ask user to enter 10 values. Okay, and those 10 values, whatever you're asking from user, it has to be written into the particular text file. Okay, take it as a homework. And I really want you to try these things. Okay, there's no point in trying these exercises. Right? It's just to make you understand the logic and how to work with these things, how to create a thinking to work with this. Okay, let's move on. So we did last exercise which assigned green to a variable. Right. Okay. Uh, so guys, there's one more thing that you can do. Right. You can read and write into a same file. So you can basically read and write into the same file. Okay. Let's see an example for this. Okay. In fact, I want you to try. Okay. Let's see. Guys, take 5 to 7 minutes and try this out. Let me create a problem statement. Uh, uh, so you have to use, okay, let's see. You have a text. You have to write a text first of all. Um, the color of sky is blue. That is a text that you have to write in a file. Okay. Then after you have written this text in the file, you simply have to read it and print it so that you are sure that you have written it correctly. And after that, in the same file, you will have to change the text into the color of sky is, say, black or say um, orange. Now, you don't have to override the complete, see guys, I don't want you to override the complete line. You just have to change blue to orange. That's it. And what are the things you are going to use? You'll be needing seek, you'll be needing uh, tell, you'll be needing write, and you'll be needing read. That's all. Okay. And the file that you're going to use or open, like the first time, you can have it, the mode is W plus, which is write plus read mode. Okay. Try it out. Okay. So you have to open a file, you have to write this text in that file, Okay, and then you have to move to blue word and you have to substitute blue word with the orange word. That's all. Yeah, take 5 minutes and try it out. Uh, what you have learned till now, you should be able to do this. Okay, let me tell you the first few lines. F equals to open, say that uh, sample dot text. Now, the mode in which we are going to work is what we call W plus. That is, you can write and read simultaneously. Okay, W plus. Yeah, now you can do it dot write. What do you want to write? Then you have to write this. Now, start from here. Okay, basically, I hope you understood the concept of seek and tell, right? From the other perspective, you can think of it as your VLC or any of a video player, right? Whether it is on Netflix or Amazon Prime or your VLC or your Windows Media Player, right? In there, you have the cursor, which is running at the bottom, okay, which is basically on the timeline of the complete video. It's the timeline of the complete video. Now, that cursor is acting as a tell, which is telling you where exactly your movie is at, right? And then, according to your wish, you can move that cursor forward or back, right? And that is what your seek does, right? It's moving that cursor forward or behind to a particular point. So that is another perspective of understanding seek and tell. So try it out, this. Try it out. Okay, so I'm pausing my screen, right? I'm also doing it. Right, start. Uh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Done? Okay, are you getting a lot of noise, guys? No, see this. Let me check. I think I dropped my headphones. Just give me a sec. Okay, so see this. So I'm going to run this all together, and you can see that the color sky is orange. And okay, again I did the same mistake. Sample.txt. You convert into color of the sky is orange, and I didn't convert the complete. I didn't overwrite the complete. You can say that line. I simply written the one uh, letter, or sorry, one word. Okay. So this is how you play with till and seek. Okay. So file operations becomes a very important part when you are dealing with when you're trying to read the log files, or read or work with log files, or do the a bit of the automation and all task. Okay. Any queries? Ask me, guys. Okay, I'll have to change one thing here. Hey guys, see guys, make sure that your interpreter is pointing toward the same folder where you want it to, and this is the location where my interpreter is pointing. C users, Vidhan, I don't want it here. This is working directory for, okay, let's do it from here. Okay, already selected, right? So I'm going to run this again so that these files get created there also. Yeah, it got created here also. Okay, so make sure that your current, see, this is basically your current working directory. Okay, so make sure that your current working directory is where you want it to be, right? Okay, so it's in my case it's in D9, it should be in D10. Okay, any queries here, guys? Okay, so are you getting these concepts? Because I'm not getting any responses from you, any of you. Do ask me if you have any doubt, guys. Okay, next thing that we use a lot is what we call with statement. Right? Okay, so I'm simply going to, okay, I'm going to create a new file here, right? And I'm going to change the folder for that, right? I'll have uh, day 10, right? So this is the location where I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to work on this location. Okay, so let's create a new file. Okay, how f dot read reads a value. Okay, Satish, see, uh, when I did f dot seek 20, so see, I've told you, like, it's like when you're watching a movie, and you have your cursor, right, and at the bottom, right, which moves with the timeline, right, the movie's time. So basically, seek is like we are moving that cursor to a specific position, right? So with the help of seek, I have moved that cursor to this position. Okay, and after that, to this position basically, and after that, I'm asking it to read 4 characters. So 4 characters are BLUE. Okay, after that we are reading BLUE, 4 characters. Okay, then again we moved it to the 20, which is this position, and after that we are writing orange. And till now you must have noticed this, that whenever we write something using in W mode, it basically overwrites. Okay, it does not create a new line, it overwrites. So blue is overridden by orange. Okay, now if you see the complete code. Okay, let me explain the complete code again. uh, First we have opened the file sample.txt in a write plus read mode, right? The W plus is write plus read mode. So that's why we are first writing into it, right? I've written this color of sky is blue. Then we are using a seek method to move to the point from where we want to change it. Okay, and after that we are printing. See, if you do it like this again only, it's going to print everything because it's the last word, right? You're going to get blue. Okay, that is what we are getting. Okay, after that we are again moving to f dot using seek method. We are moving to 20th position, which is this position, right? And then we are writing orange in place of blue. So whatever we are writing is getting written on top of blue, or removing blue, and we are writing orange. Okay, and then we are moving to 0th position, that is this, and then we are reading everything from 0th position till the end. Okay, so this is how basically it works. Do we have find and replace? Not in this. We don't have find and replace in this. No, here no need to close the file, Dharmesh. File operation does not support find and replace. We have seek, tell, and these things. Okay, there's one more mode that you can use, right? That I forgot to tell you. Is the append mode. Okay, so do a quick exercise to understand the append mode, right? So I'm going to save it, say here, right? Okay, say you have a file object, you open that file, right? Write.txt, right? And when you open it in a write mode, right, then you know that f dot write, whatever you are going to write, okay, it's going to be like this, and then you'll do f dot close, right? Okay, this is how your simple write operation looks like. Okay, and you can check in the file, uh, text, and you have written hello there, right? Now, if you do this operation again, right, if you repeat this operation, let's say that we are changing the variable here. Okay, if I do this operation again, what is going to happen is whatever I've written is going to be not there, right? So earlier we had hello, now we have there. So you can say that that is one of the biggest flaw that you have in write mode, right? And what is that flaw? That whatever you are going to write, say you are getting a stream of data, and you want to write that stream of a data into a file, right? Okay, then what you need to do, you need to um, first of all if you want to save all the data, then you'll have to find a way in which your write operation does not basically overwrites everything, right? Okay. So there are two options that you can go with. Like one, you adjust your code here only accordingly, by which uh, you don't have to worry about your data getting overridden. A second option is instead of W, use an append mode. Okay, let's see how append modes basically work. Let me write this into append. Right, append mode is denoted by A. Right, let's write hello there and close. Let's say this is F2, this is F2, this is F2. Now, what append mode does, okay, you'll understand when I run this. See, like write mode, append mode also creates a file if it's not there. Right? If you create the file if it's not there, okay, you run this and you check. So append mode created the file, okay, which was not there. Right now, if you run this again, say, okay, the reason I'm changing the variable here is so that you guys don't get confused, right? Or else you can use the same variable. Okay, now I'm written hi, right? After hello, I have written hi. Let's see what's going to do. You can check that after hello, your hi came, right? So it is not overriding your data. It is only appending the data at the end of the old data that you have written into a file. Okay. If we replace sky with fruit, and okay, so I didn't understand your query. There's some typo error. What you have done. Can you write it again? If we replace sky with fruit, then is I think also replace. Okay, so that is your append mode, guys. Right. Can you see this? Try it out. Uh, okay, take this exercise, guys. Right, take one more exercise, like that I want you to try at your home. Right, and this exercise is, so we have done this, right? We have rewritten it to the same file, right? The color of sky is blue. Right, now here you have to change the sky into water. That is a task that you will have to try, not right now, but later on. Right? So we have changed the word at the last. Now you have to change the word in the middle. Okay. Yes, do try this out. This is interesting. You'll learn a lot while trying to solve this. Yes, so that is one of the tasks. So the previous task, what we did was the color of sky is blue. We changed it into color of sky is orange. Right. Now here you don't have to change that. You have to change the word in middle of the sentence. Right? The color of sky is blue. You have to change it to the color of water is blue. Okay. That is one of the exercise that you should try. Any queries here in append? Now, doing this will solve two purposes here. This exercise, one, it will teach you how to append or how to not overwrite something into the text file and how to add new values into a text file, right? With the help of write method. Okay. So guys, make sure that you are not substituting the complete these words. You are only substituting one word. That is the task. I don't want you to substitute the consequent adjacent words. No, only one word, and that too with the help of write method. Okay. So it's up to you. You can use W mode or append mode, write mode or append mode. It's up to you. Okay, so that is exercise that you have to do. Now, any queries you have on this? Kindly ask me. Okay, there's one more thing that is called with statement. We use with statement here. Okay, there's a query. What will happen when I try to write after the end of the file? Um, when you say after the end of the file, just a sec. Then you want to try write after the end of the file. That is the task that you have to do. Like it is going to write after the end of the file. Yes, backslash n, Satish, not forward slash n. Including that is going to change the line while, see, programmatically when you give backslash n, it does not do anything. But when it comes on your notepad, it changes the line. Right? It changes the line. Okay. See, basically what you can do is, see, I'll show you what you're trying to say is like this. Or like this. Right? If I perform this task again, let's see what happens. See here. Okay, I think that is what you were asking. Okay, so that is going to change the line. Good, guys. So that is how your append work. Now, if you do the same here, is it going to make difference? Try it out. Okay. Now, moving to the another part. Right? Okay. So we are going to work with statement. Now, with statement is quite handy. It's quite handy when you have two related operations which you would like to execute as a pair. Right? You have two related operations you want to execute as a pair. Then your with statement comes very much handy there. Okay. So it is very simple syntax. You have with, you write with, you open a file, say for example, and you want to say you normally give what name of the file. And you give the mode. Let's say that the mode is write mode. Right. So what we're doing here, we are opening a file and we are assigning it to a file object which is f. Right. And after that, we can perform the write operation. And we can do the write operation, some text. Okay. Okay. Now the best thing about using with, guys, is that whenever you are using with and whatever operation you are performing in whatever mode, you never have to close the file. Right. With statement does not require you to close the file. It by default, whenever your task is complete, when you come out of the with block, the file will get closed automatically, right? Or it automatically closes the file for you. Okay, that is one of the very good thing about it. And that is why we use this a lot. Let me give you an example. With, let's say, open um, me dot text sf. Okay, for I in f print I. Now let me create a file here. Okay, so this is a file that I've created. Okay, and if I run this, so I'm reading everything and then I'm getting everything for manipulation also. Okay, so that is one of the example how you can use with. Okay, check this out. Meanwhile, I'll see the queries. Is there any symbol to read end of the line, end of the file, or end of the text in a file, right? Uh, nope. You use read method. See, if you, Suresh, if you want to go to the end of the text inside a file, you simply use read, read everything, or by that your cursor will move to the end, right? And then you'll be able to perform operations. Your normal read method is used there in that scenario. Okay, see this? So the best usage of with, okay, another operation that you can perform is like this, with open u.txt in a write mode as f dot write hello guys. See, it has written hello guys. Now try performing the same task with your normal way. Right, in that case, to for your text to be actually written into a file which is u.text, you'll have to close it. But with you don't need to close it, right? With automatically will close the file for you. Okay, see this? These are useful. You can say that parts, guys. Right. So these are the parts that we are going to use. Okay. You can simultaneously read and write into a file. Now this is a part that I use a lot. Okay, say you have file object 1 through which we are opening a particular file, right? And then you have file object 2 to also which we are, let's say that, which file I should open. Okay, me.txt, right? That is a file I want to open to read. And okay, and then I'm opening the same file me.txt in a write mode. Okay, so I'm opening this file me.txt. One I've created an object to read, other I've created an object to write. Now me.txt is, okay, let me show you how does it look like. Right. This is what your me.txt looks like. Okay. Now, what we need to do, right? We need to read and write simultaneously. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I'll have for say line in file one. Right. We want to read from file one. Okay. Let's read print line. Whatever is written here is going to be printed. Right. And at the same time, what I want to do is file two dot write line into that file. Okay. And lastly, file one dot close and file two dot close. Right. So basically, we should do it in a new file, me too. Okay. So what we are doing is we have one file through which we are reading the text and we are writing that text into another file. That is what we are doing here. Let's see me2.txt. Yep. Okay. So guys, basically what we're doing here is we have one file from which we are reading a text and we have another file which we are creating and in which we are going to write the text that we have read from file one. Right. So we are using a for loop for this. With the help of for, we are reading the content of me.text and we are printing it for our reference. Right. This is the outcome of the print. And then we are writing it into file two and then we are closing both the files. Okay. See this? So these are the important concepts that you will be needing while you're going to work on this. Okay, let me know once you're done with this. Okay, you can also do image handling, but image handling is something that we are not going to dive deep into. Right, but I'll show you how to read an image file also. Right, this is a simple example. So go through this, guys, and ask me if you have any queries. See, we are going to dive deep into, we have gone deep into file operations. So we'll be diving deep into regular expression also, because that's important. Okay. Okay, any doubt, any query here, guys? Now tell me one thing. Sagar, it's just an iterator. I can use I also here. It's an iterating object. Okay, so line, the reason I've used line is because I feel comfortable with that word. It's up to you, whatever word you want to use. Uh, Last thing about file operation is, let's say, image reading. Right, okay, say you have image file. Let's create an object of image file. Open that image. Okay, I will find that path. Now images, guys, you cannot read it like text, right? These are not your text files. These are your file files, right? Okay, so you'll have to read it in a byte format. So we are going to read it in a byte format. We call it RB, read byte format. So normally you are going to see write mode, read mode, append mode, right? Not more than that. Okay. Okay. I'll tell you the difference. First, let's see this. Okay. Now you can give path of any of image file that you might have. Let's say pictures. Okay. Do I have save picture? No, no, I don't have any picture. Okay, let's have LPWA and okay, so for example, this is the picture. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and put a part of this. I think it's PNG. Yeah, LPWA and PNG. Okay, so the path you need to give, I'm going to write R in front of it. Right, so we are going to read. We are going to read a file that is lpwn.png, right? And I'm going to use for I in img file. Okay, and simply going to print whatever pixels or bytes we are going to read, and after that we are simply going to close it. Let's see. Yeah, this is the image that I have. Okay, run this and see. So this is the byte format of the image that you are able to read. Okay, so that is how you read an image. Now you only read an image in a byte format, guys. Okay. Try it out. Let me know, guys. How to write image file when someone is uploading it and saving it into the DIS somewhere. Okay, I'll share the resource with you, right? Right now, let's not get into deeper of that, right? Image file or images modification is not our task, as in our main task. Okay, I'll share that with you, Rajin, right? How to handle the images. Okay. Now, there's one more function, or sorry, method that we normally use, right? Which we used to use, but now we don't use it. That is dot flush, right? Okay, flush used to basically flush all the buffer that is inside or that is left, right? Any data that is left, right? And then your close used to close the uh, file from write mode, right? Because say this file right now is in read only mode, but if the file was in write mode, right, then close used to close it, right, so that nobody else can manipulate your file, right? So flush was to flushing the buffer, any unsaved data, anything that you want to write was used to be written. But with Python 3 and later versions of Python 3.6, 3.7, right, almost flush and close are works in a similar way, right? Okay, there's not much of a difference left. So even if you don't write flush, it won't make any difference. Your close is going to perform the same operation, apart from closing your file object. Okay. Good. Start is your flush and close. Now, I'm going to create one more file, right? And we're going to perform renaming operations, right? That is your directory-based operations, right? Okay, so what we need to do here, we are going to, this is again a very important part. We are going to renaming files, deleting files. That is what we're going to do. Now, renaming and deleting files, guys, comes under a module of Python, which is OS module. Okay. Now, OS or operating system module provides method that help us in performing these operations, which are renaming and deleting of the files. Okay. So, if you want to use a inbuilt module, what you need to do, you'll need to import that. So, import OS. Right. Let's say that first task is renaming a file, for example. Right. You can rename any file with the help of this, guys. Okay. Okay. Now, renaming of file, we use a method which is called rename, which takes two arguments. Right? One is your current file, basically current file name, and second is your the file name that you actually want to give, or new file name. Right? It's simple. Okay, so its syntax is going to be os dot rename, where you provide the current file name and then you provide the new file name. Okay. So try it out. Try renaming any of a file. See how does it work. It's easy. So renaming and deleting. After that, we're going to see directory, and after that, we're going to see exception handling. Okay, and then we'll move to modules. Uh, the modules that we are actually going to use. Okay, and after modules, some of the modules we're going to move to regular expression. Okay, rename any of a file, guys. Done. Renaming is easy, guys. So I'll have os dot rename, and let's say that the file name is me2.txt. I want to rename it into new me2 dot txt. OS is not defined. Okay. Okay, let's check. Me2 got renamed into new me2. Okay. So that is how it works. Okay, so rename is easy. Right? That is not, there's not much into it, but it is important. Like after that, you have deleting or removing a file. Right? The syntax is almost same. Like here only we give one parameter. Okay. Then you have removing a or deleting a file. So you have the syntax is os dot remove, and you give a file name that you actually want to remove. Okay, so it's like os dot remove. I want to remove this file. So it got deleted. Right. So Python is quite powerful when it comes to such kind of a task. Okay. Can I do this? They both are same, Dharmesh. Single quote, double quote, they both are same. There's no difference actually. I just keep, see, I use it according to my convention, right? If the same file names are given, I use them, both the double quotes. If I'm using in a mode, then I use single quote, right? That is how I like to do it, right? It's up to you. There's no difference actually. Okay. Okay. Next is what we call directories in Python. So guys, everything that you see on your system is divided into two structure. One is file, other one is directory. Now, nothing is apart from file and directory. Either whatever you're looking at your computer, when you close all these applications, either that will be a file or it will be a directory. Right? So normally all your files are contained inside different directories, right? Okay, and Python has no problem in handling these directories, right? You can do a lot of tasks, right? What you can do is, with the help of Python, right? You can create a directory, you can remove a directory, and you can change a directory. Right? So these are the tasks that you can perform. Okay. Now, our first method is what we call mkdir, right? You must be aware about the name mkdir. That is made directory. Okay, or make directory. Okay, so what is the syntax of this? Syntax will be os dot mkdir, and you give the directory name. Okay. So create a directory, guys. Simply do os dot mkdir and say how to create this directory. ASDFN, just a random directory. So yeah, you can create it like this. Okay. Now these things are very much useful when you are working on uh, files and file operations, different kinds of file operations. Okay. Do that os.mkdir. So it only takes one argument, that is the name of the directory that you want to create. That's it. It's easy, right, guys? Next, Yes, like mkdir and Linux. Yes, exactly. Yes, Sajint. Yes, you can do that. Mm, it does not support mkdir but yeah, you can create a lot more other directories. Next method is your changing the current directory. Right? You can do that. Now, you might not feel that, okay, what is the use of me changing the directory? But while coding, you do need to change the directory. For example, you're working on one file, you want to work on another file, those are in different locations, different directories or folders, then you need to change the directory, right? So next is your changing the directory. See, these are small codes, but are quite useful. I will be using these things. Okay. Okay, and for that we have what? Chdir method. Okay, syntax is simple. You write os.chdir. Okay, so it's going to change your working directory basically. Right? It's going to change you into a new working dir. Okay, example. See, everywhere you'll have to import os. This is that I want to change the working directory from here to say here. So here, you can see that my working directory has been changed. Okay, see this changing working directory. Okay, for that we use make dirs, right? Not mkdirs. Okay, so basically, if you want to create a nested directory, right? Okay, I'm giving you the method. You can try it out. Yes, Sagar, it's going to create folders, right? That is the power of Python. Okay, let me scroll down for the queries. Okay, Prashant, if you want to create a nested directory, guys, do try it out. And there's a lot of things that you can do actually for creating a nested directory. What you basically do is you use a method called make dirs, right? It's like os dot make dirs, right? And you give the path and you write something like this, and whatever nesting you want to do, 1 2 3, you can do that. Okay. Try it out. So a change directory is going to change your current working directory. Now you can ask for the current working directory, guys, where you are at this particular moment. You need to ask that, right? You should know where you are working, right? See here, it has changed your current working directory. Now I want to change it back. I don't want this, right? I want to change it back to day 10, right? Because all my code is there only. Now see here, when I run the code, you can see that it got changed, your current working directory. And you can check the current working directory like this. Okay, so this is how you basically change the directory. Okay, so when you're changing the directory, guys, always work with get cwd. Okay, and lastly we have remove directory. Okay, the last directory operations is your. Okay, if you want to perform normal operations, then your OS dot is your OS modules make directory, remove directory are good. But if you want to go deeper into this, like then there's one of the package which is called shootil, is what is going to help you a lot in doing the basically as you can read high level file operations, right? So if you want to do more high level file operations, right, then shootil is the perfect module for you. Okay, explore this module and ask me if you have any queries. Otherwise, if you want to do the normal operations, then your OS with make dir, change dir is good enough, right? But if you want to go do more operations, then your shootil is the library that you should be looking for. Okay, that is high level file operations. Uh, File operations, as in if you want to copy the metadata and all those things. Now, removing a directory, the syntax is simple. Like, first of all, it deletes the directory which is passed as an argument to the method. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to do before deleting a directory, you'll have to delete all the contents of the directory, right? Then only you can remove the directory. First, you'll have to remove all the files, right? Then only you can remove the complete directory, right? The syntax is simple: os dot rm dir, right? And here you simply give the directory name. Okay, so os dot rm dir and directory name in my case was asdfn. Check. It got removed. Okay, check this out. Easy, guys. So these are the important operations and methods associated with file and directory that are used a lot. Okay, so let's take a break and we'll continue from here after the break. So we'll start with assertions and exceptions, right? And then we'll move to modules. Okay, it's a break, guys. it is. So you have any queries on this? Can you ask me? Any queries, guys? Okay, let's move forward. I'm going to create a new file here, right? And I'm going to name it as session handling. Right? Because we come across a situation where we face a lot of exceptions, right? Okay, for example, let's see a condition in the file operation only. You have file object, right? And you want to open a file in a read-only mode, right? File is qwerty.txt, right? Okay, and you want to read that file. Okay. Now, while doing so, you'll see that it has shown us an error, that file not found, because qwerty.txt file is not there, right? There is no such directory or file, right? So that is one of kind of error that we are getting. And it happens where we get these errors and we might want to handle it in some other way. You might want to handle that error in some other way. Okay, or let's say that you have a file which is already there, right? It's a me.txt. Okay, and you have opened that file in a read mode, and you want to write something on it. What is it going to show you? It's going to show you or throw you an error which says unsupported operation. Okay, just give me a second, guys. So you can clear this. Okay, I'm going to run this again. Right, so it has shown you an error that unsupported operation. Now, in many of the cases, you don't want these kind of messages. You want to handle in your own way. If this thing is not working, I want to do something else. I don't want my program to stop and throw me an error. Right? I don't want that. Okay. So that those things is what we call exceptions handling or error handlings. Right. So Python basically provides two very important features. Python provides two features through which you can handle such unexpected error, okay, in your program. Two features through which um, we can handle unexpected errors in the program. Right? And these two features are, one is what we call assertions, and second one is what we call the exception handling. Assertions is more for debugging. We also call it sanity check. Well, we'll see assertions, okay, and then we'll move to exception handling. Okay. So basically, what is your assertion? Okay. What do you mean by assertion? Like assertion is basically your sanity check. Now, when I say sanity check, it simply checks that the values that you're giving or the conditions that you're giving are basically sane or not. Right? Okay. Uh, So basically, when you're down with the testing of your code, right, then when you at the time when you're testing your code, there might be some conditions where you won't want, or those conditions are not possible. The conditions like your temperature dropping lesser than 0 Kelvin, that is impossible, right? Temperature going below 0 Kelvin is impossible. A condition where you are exceeding the speed of light, that is, according to our physics, is impossible in a way. Right? Anything going more than speed of light. Okay? So these kind of conditions you should not be allowing to accept, right? So you need to have a check which checks for these conditions, and assertions helps you in doing so, right? So here what we do is we write an assert statement. Okay, we simply uh, write an assert statement where you give a accompanying expression, right? And we evaluate that expression, and we hope that that expression is true. Okay, if the expression is true, everything is fine. If the expression is false, then your Python raises an error or exception, which is assertion error exception. Okay, let's see a syntax for this. Its syntax might look a bit different, but you write assert, then you write the your expression. Okay, and after that you provide your uh, argument. Okay, better let's check it with an example. Let's say that we have a function which is converting um, Kelvin to Fahrenheit, right? It takes input as temperature, right? We have a function there, right? So we have a function which is converting Kelvin to Fahrenheit. So first thing we'll write is assert, right? With assert, we'll write the condition. Basically, your expression. Expression is what? Temperature greater than equal to 0. Right. Now, this Kelvin to Fahrenheit, this variable is basically your Kelvin temp, right? The temperature in Kelvin, basically. So what we're doing is we have written our expression after assert. This is a statement, right? So, excuse me. After assert, we have written our expression. So if this hold true, nothing wrong in there, right? Your temperature uh, can be more than Kelvin. Right? It has to be, like more than 0. Kelvin temperature is never less than 0. So if it holds true, no worries. If it holds false, then we are going to print a message that colder than the absolute 0, which is not possible. Right? We cannot go lesser than absolute 0. Okay. And we're simply going to return what? Formula for this. Uh, what is the formula for converting Kelvin into Fahrenheit? Okay, I forgot that formula. Uh, so you give your temperature here minus 273 into 1.8 plus 32. Okay? So that is the formula for your uh, conversion of Kelvin into Fahrenheit. Right, so it's going to be your uh, Kelvin temperature, right, minus 273. Okay, I'm going to give an absolute value multiplied by 1.8, right, and whole will be added to 32. So this is our formula. Okay, see this? Now we use assertion a lot. Right? It's more like a debugging. You're testing or you're checking if your code is giving you the right value or not. So basically, this function is returning you the conversion, right? So let's call this function. I'm going to print. Okay, guys, I'm going to keep the name small. Right? We can do that. Right? For right now, I'm going to keep the name small. Okay, and the value I'm going to pass is 273. This is the first value I'm going to pass. Second and third. Second value I'm going to pass is say 520. Oh, thank you. I typed key. Next, I'm going to give -5. Okay, first, let's run this. Okay, sorry, you have to register this also. So first, let your interpreter knows that there is some function which is called key to far. Right? Run this, and it is giving you a value in Kelvin as 32 Kelvin. Sorry, 32 Fahrenheit, not Kelvin. Right, so it works. Why? Because this condition satisfies, right? That the Kelvin temperature 273 is greater than equal to 0. It's satisfied. Right? If it is satisfying, then no issues, right? And then 273 will come here, 0 into 1.80, then 32 is getting printed. Now this condition is also going to get satisfied. Okay, 520 is greater than equal to 0. Now see the last condition, guys. Last condition is -5, and -5 is not greater than equal to 0. So this condition does not satisfy, right? And that is where your assert will kick in. You'll get an assertion error. You'll get an error, and the message printed will be the message defined by you, which is colder than the absolute 0. Okay, so that is an error you're getting. So this is how you check if the values that you're passing to any of a function or any of a program are correct or not. Okay, so that is example of your assertion. Try it out. So you can put assert anywhere you want to check your values. Right? I do that a lot. You can also do this. Right? Wherever you want to check your values, you put assert. Okay, and that is going to catch your errors or any wrong value that you're passing. Check this out. So that is your assertion. I think that is more than enough that you'll be needing. Next is your exception handling. Okay. Okay, guys, if you have any query, um, please ask me regarding this assert. Assert is a statement, okay? All kind of errors can be handled like indentation error. Yes, all kind of errors can be handled. No, no. See that assertion is not to handle the error. It's just for debugging your program. But it goes hand in hand with your error exception handling. So it's a very small part, and I thought that you should know this, right? But assertions basically, as the name says, is a sanity check. Now it is here, Rajan. It is checking if your code is logically correct or not. Right. One of the logic is that you know that okay, mathematically it is possible that okay your Kelvin can go less than 0, but wow, with the concept of physics that is not possible. Right. There's nothing less than absolute 0. Right. So that condition we are only catching those conditions, and assert helps you out in catching those conditions where we have provided the wrong input. Right. Here we have provided the wrong input that is -5. Okay, which is not possible. You cannot have value less than -5. Okay, so that is your assert. Uh, we have query. Is this used during helpline calls or chatbots? And ask to dial a particular choice number, and we dial type something else. Yes, you can create something like that with the help of this. You can actually create something like that. So it's more like that will be somewhere more like if and else. If you press 1, then do this task. If you press 2, do this task. Else, redirect to, else you simply say that, sorry, you have selected the wrong option, right? So it's more like if and else, less like error correction or assert or exception handling. Okay? But yes, you can surely do something like that here also. So guys, any of the chatbot, AI-based chatbot that you come across right now, almost all of these chatbots, your AI chatbots, which are using artificial intelligence, machine learning, are built using Python. Okay, Python, a lot of message queue protocols like RabbitMQ, a lot of server-side computing, right? A lot of data stream handling, like Kafka, or all those services, right? A lot of things which is happening, and a lot of APIs that are used here. So an average, a very good AI bot might be using more than 500 API, at least 500 API. And everything will be based on MSA, microservice architecture. So chatbot is quite an interesting project. Okay. Okay, then there's, can you please Prashant? Uh, you pasted the code, you didn't paste the error. Okay, is anybody getting any error here or any confusion? So guys, if you want to see, the point is assert is used for debugging mostly, right? So if you want to check if your code is getting some values and you want to check those values are right or wrong, you put these asserts everywhere. Okay, that is what we do. Now, coming to the second part, which is of more of an interest to us, is exception handling. Now, what do you mean by exception, guys? Can anybody tell me what is exceptions? Okay, I can tell you that it's an event. Exception is an event. Okay, so the definition of exception is that it's an event, right, which occurs during the execution of the program. Right? It's an event which occurs during the execution of the program, and this particular event, guys, it disrupts the normal flow of your instructions or normal flow of your program. So an event occurring during the execution of your program, which disrupts the normal flow of your program, is what we call exception. Okay. So in normal terms, when your Python interpreter or Python encounters a situation where it cannot cope up with the data that you are given or the program that you have written, then it raises an exception, right? That okay, I cannot do anything about it. Why? That is the reason. Okay, it gives you an exception. Okay, that is why I cannot do anything about it. Something like this. So whenever your Python code raises an exceptions, what you can do? One, you can handle that exceptions immediately, right? Or you can let it be. So we have done that. We have let the exception be, right? And but now we are going to handle those exceptions. So the point of view, our point of view of handling those exception will be with file operations. Okay. Sadish, what runtime error you are getting while executing this code? You're getting a runtime error. Kindly check your code because there's nothing inside this. We simply have one function and then we are calling those function. That's it. Okay, see one more condition, guys. Here, say you have a list. Now, if I call something which with index 5, what is it going to do? There's nothing like index 5, right? So if Python knows that 1, 0, 1, 2, it has element till index 3. There's nothing like index 5. Now Python does not know what to do with this because there's nothing like index 5. So Python is going to throw you an error, right? Okay, and it is going to print you a message, which is a predefined message, which is list index out of range. Okay. See this? Now, you'll find that most of the exceptions in Python are named as an error. Okay, so any of the exception that you come across, they will be named as an error, like assertion error or index error. So what do you mean by that? For example, there's one more example. See here. If I do infinite loop while true, right? If I print, say, hi, if I run this code, it's going to be running an infinite loop, right? And I'll do a keyboard interrupt here. Now this is an interrupt, right? Now this is not your exception, this is not your error, right? Okay. So there are different conditions that you might come across, right? So the point is that your errors are a bit different than your exceptions. Errors are shorter than exceptions, right? And most of the time when you're going to handle the exceptions, or when you see an exceptions, that will be shown in the form of the error. Okay. Okay. Let's see how to handle them. Okay. Uh, so handling exceptions is quite easy in Python, right? Unlike other languages. In fact, in Java also it's easy. In Java, for example, we have try catch block. Right? In Java for handling exception, we use what? Try catch. Here we have try except. Right. So basically, let's talk about handling the exceptions. Okay. Now, how are you going to handle the exceptions? So whatever piece of code that you have written, if you think that this piece of a code may raise an exceptions, okay, then what you can do is you can defend your program by placing your piece of a code in a try block, right? We use try and except block for this. Try and except. Okay, so whatever error you think that your code might throw, for example, this error, hey, this code is going to throw you an error, no doubt about that. What you do is you place it inside the try block. Okay, and if there is exception, right, we are going to handle that exceptions here. Right. Okay, so whatever block you think you have an error, you simply place it inside the try, and you don't want Python to handle it. Right? If we let Python handle it, Python is going to handle it like this. It's going to throw you an index error which says this out of range. Now, you don't want Python to handle it. You want it to be handled by yourself. So what you're going to do is the suspicious code block, you will put it inside the try block. Right? This is your try block. Okay, and the way you want to handle it will be handled in the except block. Okay. See this? Okay. So except is going to get executed. So it has quite a simple syntax actually, guys. If you look at the syntax for this, okay, you have try. You will do your operation here, right? Then you have except. Okay, you can write the exception names actually, right? If there is exception one, for example, then execute this block. So basically, you have different ways where you don't provide any of the argument, or where you provide single argument, or where you provide multiple argument for different exception handling. Right? You can provide arguments for different exception handling. Say, for example, your code might have one particular exceptions, or your code might have another particular exception. Right? Like this, you can handle it using this try except block. And lastly, if there's nothing, if there's no exceptions inside your code, if you have no exceptions inside your code, you can have else block. Okay. So the point is, guys, that a single try can have multiple except blocks. Okay. Or we can have a generic except block. See, this is your multiple except block, or you can have a generic one except block to which you can handle all the exceptions. Okay, this is what we had seen here. You have one generic except block, which is handling all kind of exception, irrespective of the type of exceptions. And it is suggested that after except, you should include else block, so that if you don't have any exceptions, it prints it. See, for example, this, and we write else. Uh, Nothing wrong here, right? So there is no error in the try block. That's why except does not get executed. We already saw. We directly came to else. Right? Check this out, guys. So if we had error in this, then it would have handled like this. Your except block got executed. Right? See, there's a very simple example. No, so error is not an event in the program. Okay. See this? Now let's apply this to a file operation, right, to what we have done. So let's say that I think, see, normally you should keep file operations inside try except block. That is a good way of coding, right? So whenever you are working with files, whether it is your Excel sheets or we'll see that, but you should always keep that in a try except block. Let's say that we have file object and we are opening a file in say write mode, right? And we want to do f dot write, right? Now, a test file for experimenting section handling, right? So you have your try, right? You have your except. Now, what kind of error you normally get here? You get IO error. Okay, you get IO error. Okay, and you can simply print. If you get the IO error, you can print like this. IO error normally gives you error cannot find the mentioned file anywhere. Right, so that is your accept, and you can include an else. Right? Else we will simply going to uh, print a write operation fully completed, and after that, I prefer to close this file. Right? Now tell me guys, do I or do we have error in this file? Do we have error in this file? Tell me. The type of exceptions. Okay, let me share one document with you. Yeah, built-in exceptions. Right, built-in exceptions. Okay, you can see the types of exceptions that you have in Python. So the base class or the parent class is your base exceptions, and everything is derived from that actually. Right? You have different kinds of exceptions. Import error, module not find error, index error. Right? We have seen this index error. Key error, keyboard interrupt. We have seen keyboard interrupt. Memory error. We have not seen that. OS error. Although there's so many actually. Um, OS based exceptions are there. Right? There's so many. Okay. Can you go through this once? Let me open one of the presentation, the document. Excuse me. Just a second. So this was okay. Let me open it first. I'll tell you. Okay, see this. Just a second. Okay, so referred to as a bug, mostly fault of the programmer, classified into three major groups. So when we talk about errors, these are the bugs that is actually the mistake of a programmer. They are classified into three major groups. Right? I'll share these pages. Syntax error, right? We define it into three types: syntax, runtime error, and logical error. So syntax error is obviously you have written something wrong syntax, like syntax error like leaving out a keyword, putting a keyword in the wrong place, leaving out symbols as a colon, comma, or brackets, misspelling a keyword, incorrect indentation, and the block. That is your syntextual error. Right? That is again purely your error. Okay, so that is one type of error. Another family of error is your runtime error. Right, this error syntaxically you are right, but logically you are wrong. For example, you're dividing something by zero. That is going to give you infinite value, right? That is going to throw you an error. Right? That will be a runtime error. Okay. And we have seen this now, the runtime error, accessing a list of element which does not exist, right? We saw that, right? And lastly, you have logical error. Okay, where you're using the wrong variable name and you're referring to wrong variable name. Your indentation level is wrong. Right? And this kind of error is what we call logical error. Now, exceptions have this hierarchy, right? You have base exceptions, which is the mother of all exceptions, and from it derived the exceptions, and from there it is derived standard errors, and then these errors are divided into these parts, right? Arithmetic error, environment error, runtime error, lookup error, syntax error, right? And from syntax error is derived indentation error. Uh, Arithmetic error, it is you have derived zero division error. Environment error, your input output error, your operating system error. Lookup error is index error, key error. Right? So these are the major exceptions and the mistakes associated with this. So errors are basically the mistake we do, and exceptions are is the question mark or event that arises because of the mistake that we have done. Okay, so you can understand it that way. Very nice. Okay, I think I have more slides on this. So these are the common exceptions that you see. Right? This is one of the base class for all exceptions. Overflow error, end of file error, right? Then you have key error, input output error, runtime error, OS error. Right? And this is what we are doing right now. Okay. We have seen assertion. Okay, assertion looks like this. We have seen that. Now we are into the exceptions, right? We have seen this exception. We are working on it right now. Okay, we have seen except clause with no exceptions, which is basically handling everything without any argument, right? Generic, you can say that, or no particular exceptions we have mentioned. And lastly, we have an except clause where we can put multiple exceptions. Right? So the difference is very much simple. Your except block, here you can handle one exception at a time, or see, what happens is your one code can give you 5 to 6 different exceptions, right? You can handle all those exceptions at once, like this. You can handle them alone, one by one, right? Which is the preferred way. Or you can have one generic way of handling all those exceptions. Okay? So these are the way that you handle the exceptions, right? So we are looking at that. Okay, and after that, we have try and finally also. This is your try and finally clause. We're going to see that. Coming back to what we're doing. Okay, so this block has no error, guys. Right. So how is it going to run? See, guys, I wanted to show you the flow. First, your code is going to go into the try block. It's going to open this file, and this file is not there. And since we are in write mode, it's going to create the file. After that, it's going to perform a write operations. And since there is no error from our end, There is no runtime error, there is no logical error, there is no syntactical error. So our code won't enter into except block. Okay, it will move to else, and in else it is going to print write operation successfully completed, and lastly it is going to close the file. Right. So that is how your try except else block looks like without any exceptions. Okay. Now if I do simply one change here from read write to read mode, then you can see that the whole thing will change. Okay. Now there is an error. And there is what? You're performing write operations on a read-only file. So your try will encounter an error. So it will push us into the except block. Why? Because the error that you're getting is IO error. Like say if you perform this task like this, just for the sake of understanding guys, what kind of error you are getting? Uh, okay. So basically it's IO exception, IO error that you're getting. And that's why you are printing uh, the error defined by us. That is, error cannot find the mentioned file anywhere. Okay, this is not the right way I should be handling this error. Tell me how I should be handling this error. See, it is in a write read-only mode, so it should be. I should have one more except block here. Okay, and let's check. So I am just checking for the type of error that I might get. Okay, so this is error it's throwing. So this is what I'm going to write here. File not found, right? So multiple ways of handling the errors. Okay, so if you run this, see now I have included two exceptions. One is input output error, right? That is related to write operations. Second is file not found. So we know that test file is there because we had created this. Now execute this and see which exceptions is thrown there. So file IO exceptions is encountered. That's why you're getting an error of this except. Now, if I change this name to say like this, and I run this, then again it is showing me the same error. Okay, that should not be happening. Okay, IO error is the parent of file not found error. Okay, that's why we are getting this error thrown. But anyways, this is how you handle the error. Right? Yeah, try it out. Okay. Try it out, then I'll show you one of the examples. Done, guys? So the error that I'm trying to show you, uh, uh, okay, let's change this for showing you the multiple error. Right, let's have a try block. Right, this is another example where you're taking two values. Right, let's say that value is a equals to 20 and b equals to 0. Let's say that we are taking input from user. Let's have input from user. Input, uh, enter first number. Okay, that is the first input, and we are converting it into int. Okay, same thing we are doing it for the b. Now this can has one of the problem. Right? See, we are going to perform a division operations. Okay. Now, if a user enters a value of b equals to 0, that will be infinite, right? And that will be error. Okay, so let's consider that case where you are printing a divided by b. Okay, that is another condition which is going to throw you in exceptions, and that exception is going to be zero division error. Right. Here, I'm going to simply print that dividing by 0 is not possible. Okay, so that is one of the error that you can have. Right, guys? First number is 22, second number is 0. And as soon as it encounters this condition, that is zero division error, it is going to throw you dividing by 0 is not possible. Right. Another except that I can have is say that I'm providing a value and I'm trying to add two values, which basically is one is integer, one is your string. In that case, you get the type error. Here you are going to print adding incompatible values. Here you can print else. Let's print something here. Okay. Okay. So here I'm going to do something which is print, say 1 plus 1. Okay. So I'm adding a string to an integer. Okay, let's run this. So I'm going to go with the normal. Okay, so you're getting the output of this try, right? Because those are compatible. But as soon as your code comes across this integer plus string, it is going to throw you a type error, and that is what we are handling here, right? So if you want to handle a multiple different kind of exceptions, then this is how you handle it. Okay? See this? Let me know if you have any concerns here. Okay, so one way is like this. Another way in which you can represent this, see, instead of me writing it like this, right, which is not preferred, right, the other two ways that I'm going to show you are not preferred. What I can have is I can have all these exceptions together. Right, and we can have one message for this. Something went wrong. Do 22, 0. So I'm going to print something went wrong. Right. Again, I'll go to run this. I'm going to do 22, 22. Something went wrong. So for zero division and for type error, since we have mentioned this in one except block only, it's going to print one message, and that is not what is advisable. So don't prefer to use this way. Or you can have another way, which is basically the least, or you should not use this at all. It's not giving any exception. Right? There are three ways in which you can go. The best way is this, guys. The first way. Okay. Check this out. Let me know. Okay, the next thing is what we call try finally clause. So guys, so the point is that every time you work with file operations, you should put them in try except block. Okay, so do remember this. And last part of exception is what we call try finally. Are we done here, guys? Any queries here? Okay, Rajin, where is the confusion now? Can you tell me? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me write it one by one. Right, that will be better. Okay, do you understand this way of writing? Okay, I'm going to comment this. Okay, guys, see this. So we are taking two inputs, integer, right, and we are doing a division and we are printing it, right. And the reason I have kept it in a try block is because, you know, if I divide anything by zero, it's going to give me infinite value, and that is not possible for Python to show or any other language to show. So that's why I have a except block. Right? Now this except block is without any arguments. Okay, that is your except block without the argument. Right, so let's try it out. So you get the first number as say 1 and second number as 2, right? And that is quite okay, right? 1 divided by 2 is what you're printing, and since there is no exception, so your code is not going to enter into the except block, and else block will be printed. That is always okay. Now, if we have some error or if we have some exception there, like 1 divided by 0, then obviously your code from here is going to throw in an exception, right? And that exceptions ideally should be 0 division error. Okay, and all the exceptions, see, we have not given the name to it, but all the exceptions, when we don't give any of the argument here, will come under this except block, and then this message will be printed. Something went wrong. Okay, that is your one way of finding the exception. Okay, that is your first way of handling the exception, which is the except clause with no exception. Right, this part. The except clause with no exception. Okay, that is what we've seen the first example. Okay, now so whether the exception is like this or say the exception is like this, right? Which is adding an integer to a string. It is showing us. See, this operation is obviously going to throw in an error, right? We can try it here. See what kind of error it throws. It will give you a type error, right? Adding a string to an integer, which is not possible. You cannot add string to an integer, right? But here in our case, it is showing us the same error, which is not advisable, right? The second way of handling this is providing the argument, right? Okay, and how you going to see? First error you understand, adding a string to an integer gives you a type error. Second error that you can understand is 1 divided by 0 is going to give you 0 division error. Right, so there are two kinds of error which are possible here. Right, so what I'm going to do is we are going to pass it as an argument here. Right, one is your type error. Right, this is another way of representing what you're doing. Okay, 0 division error. Now, in this scenario, guys, if you have these two errors, that is type error and 0 division error, then same block is going to get executed. Right? We are at the same position here. We are executing the same block, but the only difference is now that apart from these two errors, if we face any other error, then it is not going to get handled because we have not mentioned how to handle that unknown error. Right? So that is your second way of working. Say 22 0. Something went wrong. So the same error block or except block is getting executed. Now, this is the second way of handling the exception, which is the except clause with exception. Sorry, the second way is this, the except clause with multiple exceptions, right? Where you can write multiple exceptions, but it is going to give you only same output. Right? And this is not advisable again. It depends on the situation in which you're coding. And the third one, which I prefer and which you all should prefer, is the except clause with a single exception. Right? Exception 1, exception 2, and so on. Right? And that is what we prefer here. That instead of this, you should be handling each and every exception individually. Type error is because we can't add string and integer. Right? That is your first except block. Second except will be for zero division error, that we are going to print we can't divide a number with 0. So here we are basically segregating the exceptions. Okay, now if I run this, first number is 22, second number is 0. Now here I'm not getting one answer, right? I'm getting a very specific answer. The error is what? We cannot divide a number with 0. That makes sense? Because the error that this would have thrown is zero division error. Now run this again. And here we are giving the normal number. But again, after this line got executed, right? See, earlier what was happened, this line, when we executed this, A was 22, B was 0. So here your program stopped, and then your program went to find for the exception, or except handling block. Then it saw that, okay, zero division error is what is matching, so it printed this. Now this time, this block, this line got executed. 22 by 22 is 1, and it's printing. Then the second line that it encountered after printing 1.0, it sees that, okay, I have an exception here. Your Python code sees that, and Python code searches for the except block which handles this exception, which is type error. So here it finds out that, okay, this is the block which is handling this exception. So it prints the message which is inside this except clause, which is we cannot add string and integer. Now is it clear, guys? Try it out, Sagar. What if user adds a space between number? Try it out. That will be another kind of an error, right? To be honest. Okay, let's see this. If I do 2, 2, that will be value error. Right, a good point. So what I can do here, I can add one more except. That will be your value error. Okay, and then you have to print what? Now there is a catch here, right? Since, okay, tell me one thing. I've added this value error which we will encounter, but will it work? Tell me, guys, will this work? Will if I provide, as Sagar is saying that, okay, well, you are entering the input, and if I give a space, say if I want to provide a value 22, if I give the value as 2 space 2, right, that is not an integer, that cannot be translated into an integer. So that is going to throw in an error, and that is what I checked here, right? I gave input value as 2 space 2, and it gives me an error, value error. Now, am I handling that error correctly here or not? That is the question. Sagar, everybody else. Okay, so Prashant is saying no. Anybody else? Okay, this value error is caused because of what statement, guys? See, this is important. This value error, guys, is because of which statement in your program? Okay, guys, figure it out and ask me. Right, I'm not getting any responses from you, so I'm letting it on to you to figure it out, and you can ask me in the next lecture. Right, because I'm not getting anything that if you're getting it or not. Right, so I'm actually clueless here. So try it out and accordingly ask me. Okay. Nope. Because of print. Okay, Rajin. Because guys, do one thing. Rajin, run this print one plus one here in your console and tell me what error you're getting. You're getting a type error. You're not getting a value error. See, that is what I'm showing you guys. Value error. Why you're getting value error? Run this particular line input and give the value as 2 space 3. Then you are getting the value error, which is invalid literal for int with base 10. That is your value error. Now my query is, will this code, okay, listen to my query guys. Will this code handle the value error that you are getting in the input function? Okay, I'm asking, will this code handle it? No, it won't. Why it won't, guys? And finally has nothing to do with this, Suresh. Exactly, Neeraj. See, I got one right answer. This is not going to work out. Why? Because the part which is throwing error is not inside your try block, guys. It has to be inside your try block. Okay, all those things which can throw you an error has to be inside the try block. Got it? Uh, you can check this out. Okay, so these are the simple logics that we'll have to apply while working on this. Okay, next is your try finally clause. Right. So finally clause is something which is going to execute no matter what. Right? This is a very powerful block. Right? When we use, see, syntax is simple. First of all, you have try your operations here, and then you have finally. Okay, where code will always get gets executed no matter what. Error, no error, this finally is going to get executed no matter what, right? So say you think that your code has some error, so your code is going to throw some error, right? You are going to keep that code here, and then your code, since it has thrown error, it will come to the finally block, and finally block you can handle that exception, and apart from that, whatever you have written inside the finally block, that is going to get executed no matter what. Okay? That is what your finally try finally do. Now with finally block, we never use else because there is no need of else. Right? Okay, because finally is going to handle everything by itself. Okay, let's take an example. Try um, F1. Let's have F only. Uh, Open one. Okay, any file that you have, me.text. Okay, so this is a file that we are opening. F dot. Let's perform write operation on this. Okay. Right. Then you have finally block, right, which is going to print error is there and f dot. close. So obviously we are opening a file in a read-only mode and we are asking to write something. So it is going to throw an error. So that is something that we are being done. Right. So see what is happening here. So we have an error here, right? And since it is an error, it's going to push us into finally block. And irrespective of what the error is, your finally block is going to get executed. So your print is getting printed, your close operation is being performed. Apart from that, it is also throwing us the error. Okay, so that is the power of your finally block. So we use finally block with a bit different combination. Okay, let me show you one of the scenario where we use finally block, right, which will make it clear. See, you understand, finally block is used no matter what error is, this operation is going to be performed. Now, the question should be, if this is a scenario, why would we want that operation to be occurring uh, irrespective of like, if you're getting an error, why do you want to continue with the operation, right? Because there are scenarios where you have to do this, right? Those scenarios are like this. Say you have, again, a file, let's call it F, and see that this file is in um, okay, let me check me.txt. Let's have it in a write mode only. Right, and let's have try. I'm having another try here where I'm going to simply do f dot right, and I'm going to write hello there, right. And for this internal try, I'm going to have finally, right. And this finally, I'm going to print. Let's see that. Uh, going to close this file, right, and then I'm going to close this file f dot close, right. Now, for external try, we need to have except. And except I can have, let's have simple except, right? And print error is there. Now, guys, how is this operation going to work? Okay, I'm going to give this piece of code to you, and I want you to analyze this, and then we can discuss this in the next lecture. Okay. So I'm going to do like this. See, if it is in write mode, then what is happening? First, this line of code is getting executed. No problem there, right? Because write mode is like a Superman, right? You can do anything, right? It's going to create you a file, and you can do anything on that. The file is not there. Uh, then you in the try block you have write. So irrespective of error or not, your try is working fine, but your finally is getting executed irrespective of error or not. So it is printing going to close the file and it is going to close the file. And since you don't have any error in the outside try, your except is not getting executed. Let's say that you have error in outside try like this. Then you won't go inside at all actually. Yes, you will go inside for this. Okay. So guys, take this code. I want you to analyze this code and we are going to discuss this code in the next lecture. Okay. These codes will be uploaded on Lemons guys. Right? Kindly go through these codes. We have seen a lot of different concepts today, especially regarding directories and width and files, renaming and deleting files, and this exceptions handling and assertion. Okay. Any query you have, you can ask me. So I'm going to pin this to be discussed. Okay. Okay, so we are going to discuss this. Okay, any queries, guys? Okay, so next week, what we are going to continue, we are going to finish this. Okay, and practice on this, guys. Right, that is why I'm not putting a full stop here. I want you to practice on this exception handling. Right, go through it, take your time, and after that, we are going to discuss this again. Right, because I think for today is going to be a lot. It's a lot. Right, and we'll go through all these concepts once more, and after that, we are going to start with the modules for your CSV, your Excel, your PDF. Right? You'll see XML also, you'll see JSON also. We are going to perform operations on this, and then we are going to move towards regular expression. Then we are going to combine all of these things with regular expressions. Okay? So that will be all for today, guys. Excuse me. Any queries, guys? Any queries? Okay, you can ask me if you have any queries. So that is your complete exception and assertion. There is nothing apart from this. You can have user-defined exceptions also, but again, you don't need that. So if you complete this properly, I'll show you user-defined exceptions in the next lecture. Okay? I'll show you one other example. Yes, Rajin, that is the power of finally. No matter what, your finally is going to get executed. And that is the complete concept behind finally, that it's going to get executed no matter what. And after finally, you never write else. Okay, else does not come after finally. Finally is the last block that you write. After that, you don't write anything in the same structure, except it's out of this inner block, right? Except it's the outer block. It's adjacent or it's with try. This except is with this try. This finally is with this try. Okay. Okay, so that will be all for today. We'll continue from here on the next lecture. Signing off now. Bye bye. Have a good day.